Hey, it's Khalil with the Cashflow Contractor. Thanks for listening and tuning in. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, now's a great time to do it. If you are interested in building your construction business to be profitable and to run without you so you can have less stress, more time, and more money, we want to send you more content that can help you do that. I talk to contractors all the time who listen while they're driving from job site to job site, while they're taking care of stuff in the office or at home. And it's a great podcast for them because it gives them actual ideas and strategies they can use inside their business in a conversational format with two goobers like me and Martin. So if you're interested in that, you want more strategies to help you grow and improve your business, subscribe now. Now, let's get into the show.
There's things that contractors do unknowingly where they are giving away things for free as a way to give value. And the problem is when you give away things for free, it reduces value. We start thinking about all the different solutions that are there and the work we do, but we don't realize that people are more important than things. Whenever your price is perceived as too high by the consumer, it's because you simply haven't created enough value. And so that is a tough pill to swallow. You're not going to do things right unless you find out the wrong way first sometimes, My mantra used to be try to find good things for less price. Now my mantra is...
Today's episode is sponsored by OpenPhone. It's the perfect business phone system for contractors that you can manage just from your cell phone. If you're interested in hearing more about OpenPhone, check out the show notes to get an offer directly from them. The link is right here and you'll find it down the show notes. Thanks for checking out today's episode brought to you by OpenPhone.
Expert advice, practical tips, real-life stories. Have less stress, more time, and more money in your business. Welcome to the Cashflow Contractor.
Martin, it's good to see you in the new year.
You too.
Man, it's been a while since we've had someone on to talk about sales specifically. We talk about pricing, we talk about scope of work, stuff like that, but not specific to the sales behaviors. And I thought we'd take it in a different direction today to talk about why you're losing sales, all the things that are costing you money, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that you lose the sale entirely, but maybe you lose your margin on the sale. So we brought in Joe. Joe, thanks for joining the podcast.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me, Khalil, and Martin. Thank you too. I definitely am a fan of the show, and definitely thank you for the service that you bring all the construction professionals on the planet to help them reach their potential and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. We enjoy it. We have a lot of fun. So, Joe, right out the gate, can you share with us a story about sales failure that is just iconic? That is just, this is what you see all the time, the typical sales failure from a contractor.
Well, definitely. I have, I've been in the construction trade since 1977. Both as a remodeling contractor, HVAC, plumbing, electric. I've been in about every kind of a business and construction, including new homes and everything like that as well. And so I would say that my career is I've been doing this since 1977. So I'm not even sure how many years that is, but it's a lot of years. And, it's probably I would say 24 years was failure, or, I was definitely just fitting in with everybody else and not really differentiating myself. And the last 24 years, I definitely have found a way that is a much easier way of doing it, and in that part of it there. So I think one of the biggest things I think one of the biggest mistakes I've seen are classic failures. Right in my book, I have a book called "What Should We Do: How to Win Clients, Double Profits, and Increase your sales, your service sales." So, and I do consider everybody in construction a service business, even if you're in construction, you're still, the service of managing a project is significant. You guys are keeping all these contractors together, all these timelines and the materials and all this stuff. It's a tough job to manage. And I don't think people see the value. They don't understand the value until they try to do it themselves. So definitely I think that. But the biggest story I could tell you is, right in the beginning of the book, I start with a story in the book about how I swore I was the highest priced contractor that there was. And I prided myself on having one of the highest because here's the thing I erroneously believed. I believed it because all my clients were telling me that I was the higher price, right? And the information was coming from a source that I didn't really vet the source very well. So I assumed I was the highest price, right? And so I had one of my clients call me who had done business with me before, and she said, "Yeah, remember we did business like 5 years ago. So what can you do for me, Joe?" The question she asked, write this down, everybody. She said, "What can you do for me?" And because of my weaknesses as a child growing up and my history of, always wanted to buy things for less money because I was frugal. Let's put it that way. Back in the day, I grew up in a blue collar family, and I prided myself on trying to get the best stuff for the cheapest price. That's what what could have been my mantra or on my business card, right? And so I assumed that when this woman Mary, she asked me, "What can you do for me, Joe?" And I said, "Well, how about if I drop the price by 25% because you're a loyal customer, and we could do it that way? Plus, I'll throw in the free." I threw in something for free on top of it, right? And then she said, "Oh, okay, so that's the best you could do?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Okay, well, let me talk to my husband and I'll call you back tomorrow." She says, "Go ahead and get the job. Figure we're going to do the job, but I'll contact you to confirm it tomorrow." Well, tomorrow comes and goes. So I thought in my book, I thought the job was sold. That's how weak I used to be. I used to think, well, yeah, that's done. But let me go ahead and get all the materials ready to go. And I actually started getting everything. I had the workers ready to come in the next day to get started on this thing. It was kind of an urgent project she wanted to get done. And I'm like, yeah, this is going to go forward. And all the guys came in and I said, get all the materials. And then I realized about 9:00 she didn't call. And I'm like, so let me call her. Obviously she didn't answer the phone. And I'm like, what the hell? And then the whole morning went by. I had my workman's comp insurance guy come in and it sucked up my whole morning. And then the guys are sitting there, they come into my office and they go, "Joe, what's going on? We've been here since 8 to 12. We've been here all morning. You haven't told us where to go." And we're like, "Hang on, let me call this woman, Mary." So I called her and she said, "Oh, Joe, I forgot that I should have called you. I went with somebody else who's less money. I hired somebody who's less money." She goes, "Your prices are too high." And I said, "Jesus." I said, "Yeah, I lowered my price by 20. I was already not profitable on this job. I'm giving away all my profit. I was doing it for more of a break even, just to keep the guys busy," which is another lie to do. I saw the lies that hold your business back, right? Yeah, so I tried to do it to keep my guys busy, quote unquote. And then I said, "Well, who's doing the job cheaper?" And she said, "I don't want to get into that." And so I said, "Well, just tell me. I won't. I already lost the job. It's this other company, called Delmar." And so like, "I know that guy. He's one of my best friends at the Contractor Association." And so I'm like, what a jackass. How could he do the job cheaper than that? I mean, I was already stupid for doing it this cheap. And then he lowers the price. And by the way, him and I are the two people at the association always bitching about the other company's prices being less money. Like we were at the bar all the time. He'd have a gin and tonic and I'd have a beer and we'd be talking like, "Can you believe what the Allied's doing their jobs for," or whatever? And so it was like that kind of a thing, right? And then I see him at the bar next week because we're having a meeting. And I said, "Ron, what the hell were you doing lowering your price?" I just confronted him and I actually got irritated. I started swearing. I said, "You're kind of a stupid," I started swearing. I was so pissed, and he goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, Joe, what are you talking about? I didn't lower my price." I said, this was back in the 90s, early 90s, right? And I said, "Come on, I quoted like 2,500 for that job and I dropped it to 1,800. You went lower than that." And he goes, "Joe, I didn't sell it for 1,800 or 2,500. What'd you sell it for?" He goes, "I got the contract right here in my briefcase." So he opens his briefcase, pulls out a contract for $9,857 for the project.
Whoa.
I'm like, holy shit. But I'm like, I can't believe this. I'm looking at it. He had the check and everything on the proposal. And I'm like, what does this mean? And I was like, just like totally blown away. But when I thought about it, go back to the time when Mary told me, "Joe, I've known you for 5 years. We did business together before. What can you do for me?" What she was asking me for was more service than I was currently providing. I gave her a price on the project she asked me for, but the project she purchased went way beyond what she asked for. And Ron was smart enough to see that there was other things that were needed. And he was smart enough to do those things and take a leap of faith to show people. And really that has replaced my mantra. My mantra used to be, trying to find things cheaper for good things for less price. I used to be my mantra before. Now my mantra is I'm going to always offer more service than people ask me for and let them tell me they want less at that point. The great options. I create premium, mid-range economy choices. The premium choice is way beyond what people ask me for. The economy choice is exactly what they ask me for. And by doing it that way, it's like one of the best life hacks I can tell you. It will differentiate you as a construction contractor. If you had a premium way of doing a deck or a house or windows, a mid-range way and an economy way, and you said, this one has more service and we're more committed to the quality as ourselves on the premium way, and the economy way, you're going to get exactly what you asked us for, just windows, and that's it. You're not going to have any warranty or a very small amount of warranty. So there's things that contractors do unknowingly where they are giving away things for free as a way to give value. And the problem is when you give away things for free, it reduces value. That's what happened to me. I tried to give away stuff for free and even lower the price, right? And she didn't see value. And so that's really the hallmark of what's wrong with most construction companies. They think that the customer's asking them to lower a price. But I even tell people who buy our service here at Service MVP, if they ask me, well, come on, Joe, can you lower the price? That's a lot of money for the coaching. And I'm like, well, this is a lot of commitment for the coaching. And so if you want me to do less, price, I'd have to give you less commitment or less scope of the work. I wouldn't be able to coach all your people, just coach 2 people or whatever. Like, well, why don't you send one person to a seminar? It'd be less money than if we did the whole coaching program, right? So I let them know that I'm not gonna. It's full sticker, no dicker. I don't lower the price anymore ever. And I always say, I'd rather give you more service than lower the price, and that's really it. So if everybody can get their mind just right out of the gate, this story, I hope it helps all the construction people out there, that when you're tempted to lower your price, start questioning whether your price is too high. You should always say, what can I do to add on a little bit more service or things that differentiate, or things that people need that wouldn't cost any extra really, but people can see value in it. Does that make sense, Khalil?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of use the 2 things come to mind, but one is that saying is more for the same instead of the same for less. And
exactly.
I'm not always pushing more for the same. Maybe you can do it for what you said. And Khalil and I frequently quote Stella Artois, the beer that is reassuringly expensive. I mean, that's what happened to you. I mean, reassuringly expensive. And people come up and ask, well, how can that guy do it for less? I said, I got no idea. I have no idea what he's doing. This is what we have to do to take care of you and get you exactly what you want and more. I don't know what that guy's doing.
Quick ad break to tell you about Growth Kits. This is actually my company, and you may have seen it around, but I started Growth Kits because I kept seeing contractors struggle with the same problems over and over again. They were trying to be better organized inside of their business, but kept drowning in the day-to-day operations. So whether you need a better CRM, a hiring process that actually works, or you just want to make sense of the tech stack inside of your business, we have systems that are built specifically for contractors. You can either grab our DIY guides and implement these systems yourself, or you can hire us to work with you on it and implement it for you. No massive consulting fees, no year-long commitments or monthly retainers. Just pick what you need right now and let's get it done together. Head over to growth-kits.com to see how we can help you construct your success one system at a time. That's growth-kits.com, or just click the link in the show notes. Now, back to the show. I'm curious, Joe, with all the people you work with, I've heard you've already mentioned some things like, I've got to keep guys busy, so I'll discount the price, or, I'm the most expensive. Why do contractors think that price is the biggest reason for lost sales? Why is that the hallmark?
Well, because just like me, if you take a look at that story, like really everything that's wrong with what you're doing is in that story. There's so many things if we did a post-game analysis of that. I sat in the truck after I was with Ron, and he showed me the contract for $9,857. And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with me? I blame Mary, the woman. I'm like, why did she lie to me? I was like so upset. I was thinking, how terrible is she that she lied to me? I was thinking that, right? But then I start thinking, when Mary asked me, Joe, what can you do for me? the very first thing I did was lower the price. And she sounded disappointed. I recollected that she sounded like, oh, that's the best you can do. Like, I thought she wanted even a lower price that she said that to me. But I didn't really, there was one question I could have asked Khalil, which is, Mary, what would you like me to do for you? Right? Would have been a good question. Joe, what can you do for me? I say, well, Mary, that's a good question. It could mean a lot of things. Tell me exactly what you'd like me to do for you. And she most likely would have said, I'd like you to come out to my home and look at this project and see if there's additional things that are better than that I'm asking for. Because I don't know about how to, build a deck or whatever kind of a thing. I don't know about that stuff. So I assume now she would have told me that she wanted something better, because she didn't just get that small little deck in the back. I thought she wanted a little platform in the back end off her back door. That's all that she wanted. Well, it turns out she wanted a place where they could sit and barbecue and have, lights and things like that out there. You know what I'm saying? So she wanted Shangri-La in her backyard. I gave her a doorstep, basically, and I was charging basically, a good price for it, and even when I lowered the price, it was still, I was going to lose my profit if I did that. I would say, thank God she didn't take it. But I think what it means, Khalil, is that if we don't blame the price, then we have to blame ourselves. And I always say your ego is not your amigo. Whenever your price is perceived as too high by the consumer, it's because you simply haven't created enough value. And so that is a tough pill to swallow. Looking at the guys like you, Martin, and you consider yourself professionals, but if somebody told you, your prices are too high, what they're really saying is you haven't shown me enough value for what you're asking. It's not that the price is high. It's that you haven't demonstrated that managing this. If you're a construction professional, you haven't demonstrated to me exactly how you're going to manage this project and all the resources you're going to use. You haven't effectively done that. And I can't see why it's worth that kind of money. You haven't told me about what it takes to order the materials before the job, or does go to get the permit and all the things that are needed. You haven't demonstrated value there, because all you did was give them a price. You didn't tell them what actions you're going to do to be committed to this project, and even promise to be on time and put in guarantees and things like that. That could make a significant difference, that communicate value. Does that make sense? So you have
so how do you?
People are hesitant; they have to blame themselves, and I think their ego is their amigo. I think you have to say, my ego is not my amigo. I need to learn what I need to do to create higher, which I should have learned from Mary. I should have said, "Hey, what would you like me to do, Mary?" It would have been a simple question, and she would have easily just told me, "Joe, I want you to get off your ass and come out here and give me the better. I want to see what you have to offer, and not just do what I want to do." Yeah. She would have told me, I'm thinking about a place where I can entertain and have a picnic table out here or something like that. Right. She would have told me that. That's the mistake. Yeah. I think that's a classic. There's about 8 stories in that story, right? 8 little things in that story you could pick apart there, Khalil. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Hey, you. Yes, you. Please take a moment and subscribe to our podcast. If you're getting value from what we're talking about here on the Cashflow Contractor, please do us a favor and just click subscribe. If you're on YouTube, click subscribe. Apple Podcasts, hit subscribe. Spotify, hit subscribe. And if you want our weekly newsletter straight to your inbox every single week, click subscribe down in the show notes. Really, really easy. I know that you're probably listening while you're driving from job site to job site, or you're working on something in the office or at home, or you're mowing the lawn, but just take a second and subscribe for us. It would mean the world to us. We know that you're trying to build a profitable construction business that operates without you. We're trying to build a profitable podcast that operates with us, and you're a huge part of that. So please subscribe. We'd love to help you even more and help other contractors find our content as well. We all do better when we share what works. Thanks for listening. Let's get back to the episode. So how do you actually create that value? Obviously, we know that we can ask, what do you want, right? But what are some of the methods, frameworks that we can follow to create value before we give the price, so that they feel that the price is justified?
Well, I think that first off, I think every construction professional, we're so tied into the technical part of the job. What are the support systems, the surface, what's the selection of color and styles, and we start thinking about all the different solutions that are there, and the work we do, but we don't realize that people are more important than things. So if the presentation is mainly 100% about materials, and you don't really mention the family, so really the people who are involved in this project, which are the family who's going to get the solution and the person who's providing the solution, if those two things are not featured at least 50% of the presentation, then there's no value, because all you're talking about is, if you're doing decks, for instance, all you're talking about is wood, screws, and nails, and some guy who's in the backyard, a nameless person who's in the backyard. So if you're saying, yeah, our guys will come in and do this, you're not introducing your team to the consumer, right? And then, by the way, your team should know the consumer too. Like, this is Mary, this is John, they own the home, and now they're doing this deck because their daughter Amy has a graduation coming up. And so I want to make sure that we give you the right kind of solution. So when you guys have that graduation party, and no matter what trade it is, whether it's decking or windows or doors or garage doors or heating, air conditioning, whatever it is, the idea is, how these materials, how is my solution going to take what's relevant in the life of people to help them imagine, like Christmas, right? You would say, I want to make sure your mom is safe when she goes out to the backyard during this holiday. That's why I did this tread a certain way, so she would have a grab bar in the bathroom, or she would have the surface, a roughed up surface, or surface that would get more a grip on her feet so she doesn't slip in the wet weather or stuff like that. So, security lighting, so that your son comes home from school and he's going to be safe. It's a safe place for him when he comes home from school tonight. When he comes home late from wrestling practice, I did the extra security lighting in for him. So you have solutions like security lighting, but you got to mention the person who is going to benefit from it and the family. So if you're giving a solution, a technical solution for somebody, you have to also communicate knowing the people or the family enough that you can tell people how your son Ben will be safe in this home, because we are doing a fire suppression system too, because he's here by himself and we want to make sure he's protected. Those kind of things, connecting the people to the technical solution, then you put the thing together and it becomes perfect. Now, no other contractor is doing that. They're all focused on the technical aspect of the job. And therefore, if you're focused on the technical aspect of the job, and your competition is also focused on that, then basically you're perceived as the same. The only difference is you're a higher price. Makes sense? So
Yeah.
If you can be higher if the solution is more personal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
No, absolutely.
personalize
If-
every single thing you do. So if you're going to tell me something, you better, if you can't tell me the thing you're going to tell me in that presentation, and by the way, there is a presentation, not just a bid we send people. You need to present every element of what you're doing. That's another service that people don't do. They just email a price. That's another mistake, because you're not able to explain how that railing is going to help your mother when she's going down the stairs to the backyard or whatever. Or she's going to that new lighting, that LED lighting that we're putting into the kitchen, is going to help prevent any injuries when your daughter is cooking on Thanksgiving or whatever. So you follow me on that? So
Oh, absolutely. So
things
it makes it,
can be benefiting people. That's it.
yeah, it reminds me of John Hill, Martin. We had him on the episode. Oh
Early.
gosh, it was probably like episode 18 or something like that. But he sold pergolas, and I had him come out to my house, and he was there for probably 45 minutes at least. And I think he spent 5 minutes talking about technical details. The rest of it, he was just talking about, oh, wow, you've got a great backyard. Can you imagine sitting out here with a cup of coffee in the morning? And man, look at these birds. Like this would be like where you spend the most of your mornings, most of your evenings. You can get a fire pit right here, keep you warm in the evenings. You can put misters up top, and you'd be able to be out here in the summer in a shaded area that's nice and cool. He planted the vision for me. And really quickly that quote got pretty high, but it was I left that experience feeling understood. I left that experience feeling like, man, this could be one of the most important projects that we execute for our house. And it was such a great job. And I love that you're saying, hey, 50% or more, and ideally even more, but if you can get to 50% or more, especially, we have a lot of remodeling contractors and builders, and hopefully they're doing those things. But even if you're a service contractor that's just fixing toilets or, fixing the heat, there's still a way to talk about it, and that's going to resonate with your target audience. So very interesting.
Definitely. It's like if you have a toilet, it's a comfort height toilet for Joe, you had the knee replacement. I want to make sure that this toilet is going to you'll be able to be comfortable with that knee replacement surgery when you sit on that waste removal fixture, right? I did the faucet with the anti-scald to make sure that your son and your daughter don't damn it when they're home by themselves after school, when they're using water here. I don't want to see them get a severe burn when you're not here. That's why I did this for them, right? So there's the you have to help people imagine I had a thing called Jerry the Landscaper, another story in the book I have, which is Jerry. Everybody else is trying to sell me landscape. Like one guy even said, I'll drop off a pile of dirt, some sod, and a tractor, and you can use my guy even for $6,500, right? Another guy said, here's a whole design for $15,000 for a landscaping bed and everything. He's going to do it all for me now. And then the other guy Jerry comes in and says, Joe, let's look in the backyard. He goes, Julie, what do you see here? And she says, I see Italy, like arborvitae trees and a pergola, like you said there, and tumbled stone patio with a sanctuary in our backyard, Julie said. And I'm like, I just see grass in the deck. and so Jerry's like, Joe, imagine this though. Imagine a putting green back here for you to entertain your friends and stuff like that. And this is a great space for that kind of a thing. And exactly, Khalil, he's like, Jerry, your guy sounds exactly like Jerry the landscaper, right? And guess what? When I sold the house, and this was Lindenhurst, Illinois, I sold the house in Country Place subdivision. No house ever sold more than $275,000. We sold that house for $429,000, and I guarantee you that our whole landscaping situation was like Epcot Center. It was amazing, right? It had landscape lighting. It had mature trees we had a koi pond and a waterfall, and the way he designed it was just it was really made the property. Actually, listen to this, guys. We used to have neighbors come over and sit on the sidewalk and just look at our backyard. They were so impressed with the sidewalk went right behind our house, and they were like, let's just go and look at their backyard. So people would sit there on 4th of July and sit in our backyard and enjoy our backyard, even though it wasn't their house. They would. Wow, that's how beautiful the property was. So it definitely did leave a legacy, Khalil. You took the words out of my mouth. When you do something right, guys, when you do a remodeling project, it's going to be the biggest impact that this house is ever going to have, and the biggest impact on the way that the life that people have when they're living in your situation. So you got to remember, how am I going to create an impact, a lasting impact that's a legacy, and connect the dots between what do we call pure motives, safety and health of the client, the quality of life, and the reliability of the solution, the service that we provide to make sure the customer doesn't have to do it. Like we're going to make sure we block off the whole yard. We're going to let your neighbors know that we have a construction project. That's service that you're doing that go way above and beyond what a normal contractor would do. Does that make sense there? So the idea is you're most likely doing all this stuff, but you're just not telling people about it. That's it,
Yeah, I think with a lot of contractors, they think about differentiation through adding in new features and adding in new, services and being different in that respect. But through this conversation, you can differentiate yourself just with how you communicate, and not even with the frequency of communication, but just with, hey, I'm going to listen more. I'm going to talk more about their goals and ambitions, not necessarily our solutions. That's a really big transformation. Quick ad break. If you're like most contractors I talk to, you're probably drowning in day-to-day operations. I see it time and time again. You're wearing too many hats and there's no way off of the hamster wheel. That's exactly why I put together a free guide. It's called 24 Things You Need to Hire the Perfect Assistant. Now, I put this guide together to help any small business owner delegate over 50% of their current workload and buy back 20 hours of their time. And you may think that's unrealistic, but the most successful contractors I know all have one thing in common: a full-time assistant who helps them run their business. And this guide walks you through everything you need to know about finding and training the perfect assistant, from creating clear expectations all the way to building out the right systems. It's not a fluffy PDF, it's really to the point, but it's still over 35 pages of actual practical steps that you can use right now. I've included templates, examples, and real processes that we use to help other contractors implement the right executive assistant. So the link for this guide is in the show notes. You can click it and download it. It'll be sent right to your email. Now, back to the episode. I'm curious, Joe, with that, we've talked about some of the psychology of how you can approach things, differentiate yourself, why price is not the reason you're necessarily losing sales, but it's how you're approaching it. I'm curious, what's the rhythm that we should be having with our sales? Like, I know a lot of contractors that are only sales and they only hit the pavement and that's what they do. And then I know some that are like, it's very, hey, for this week I'm doing sales and then I got enough projects and I do it. What's like the best rhythm in your eyes for contractors when it comes to sales?
Well, there's a hierarchy in every company, Martin and Khalil. The hierarchy is the brand of the company is at the very top of this pyramid. That we stand for a brand, we ride for the brand. The brand is something that is going to be a legacy that you leave as a company and as an owner and as a salesperson. And so the brand is the number one thing. We have to protect the brand to make sure that the quality of the brand is essential. Number two, though, is what the brand is promising, which is sales. So we're always in a sales culture. I believe it's important that we're always looking for opportunities to serve people, which I guess you would call that sales, because we can serve people, but there's a financial obligation that if I do extra service for somebody, that it's going to have to cost more money to do that, right? So so that part of it, even if you're doing an installation during a job, there might be other things that are needed that you shouldn't be afraid to tell people. Hey, just so you know, we could put railings on this deck, or we could add on more lighting to this project, or we could do it more a safety fence right here so your children don't fall off this the structure here or whatever. So whatever it is, there's something we can do. We notice things during the construction process that would be nice to have, but even the workers could notice it. Hey, is there a reason why we didn't get a fence over here? Is there a reason why we didn't get a gate over here? Is there a reason why we didn't get a water shut off over here or whatever? So there's things that people might notice in your workers, and they should be tuned in and connected to the sales team so they could provide that solution. So I think everybody in the company needs to be involved in the sales process. It's not just the salesperson themselves. It's really the company culture has to surround its arms around the fact that this is the lifeblood of the company, the revenue and the profit that we need to handle the chaos of a construction business. I mean, I always say the worst thing I could do to my worst enemy is put him in the construction business without any training, because he's going to be trapped in a job. He thought I owned a company, but now you're trapped because you got all these jobs you got going, and you're not really making money on them, and you're watching money go from one hand to another, and it's
high risk job. Yeah.
Right. That's it. It's really, that's what my years of experience have. I'm firm on a lot of this stuff. I'm passionate about it actually, because I wasted. I don't want to say I wasted that 24 years, because that was a 24-year education on the next 24 years, right? And that's what I got from the value of that was my education. I got a master's degree in doing things wrong, and then I got a master's degree in doing things right. Does that make sense? I think that everybody, you have to acknowledge that you're not going to do things right unless you find out the wrong way first sometimes,
Real quickly, we kind of went past this, but I'd like to lay it out there. Something in differentiation, something that people could do right now is we talk in other episodes about a positioning document. It's just a little one-page thing, kind of tells how the process works. But in addition to that, when you go out on your bid, you can take your workers' comp certificate. You can take your liability insurance if you do have a license, a construction license, and just present it. And it's a way to induce in your potential customer, or bring up the idea that when the next guy comes out and doesn't bring his workers' comp, and they're going, "Oh, do you have that?" We want to go with that first guy who had us covered. You mentioned safety, so that's something that usually doesn't cost anything to do.
Exactly, Martin. And I think Martin, exactly, not bringing that workman's comp certificate out, but also showing how that workman's comp certificate protects the family and the home
Right.
against legal action if somebody were to get injured. Like you need to finish the sentence on that, right? It's not just, here's my workman's comp thing. It's like, so what? Yeah, this is the thing that prevents a legal lawsuit from one of my employees if they were to get injured in your house. You know, I don't know if you know that or not, but if somebody doesn't have this at the right, so we have $3 million on this or whatever, right? Or whatever it would be. This is what we have. We have a $10 million policy on this. So this protects your family in case one of our workers has a nail go through their foot and they have to go to the hospital. And instead of suing your family, they would wind up getting workman's comp from the insurance company.
Yeah.
But doesn't everybody have that? Well, sometimes not. Sometimes people, they just start a business and they haven't talked to their insurance guy. So when you're getting bids, keep in mind, if somebody doesn't have this, your family's unprotected in a way. Does that make sense? So I agree with you, Martin. And I think your quality of presentation of that certificate is the key difference or the differentiation of bringing it with you, but also explaining how it benefits the people in this home against potential disaster that could happen here.
And it doesn't cost you anything. So
you're already paying for it. That's what I'm saying. Most of the things I'm talking about are things you're already doing. Like if you're already doing things to go tell the neighbors that we're going to pardon our dust, we're going to be working here, which is a good move, I think, for any contractor to tell everybody in the area, put up signs or put up yellow construction tape and things like that. You're going to do that stuff anyway. Or, you're going to have a dumpster out here and things like that. So you should, to not tell the neighborhood. And by the way, you might find if I'm always trying to sell things, just going to the neighbors and saying, explaining what you're doing at this house might lead to other projects. Like, we're going to be over here doing an addition on the back of the home. So just so you know, I want to let you know, we have a certificate here. We're going to give you a gift certificate if you want to use it toward any project. Here's $1,500 toward any project if you ever want to use our company. But I just want to say, we want to let you know there's going to be a dumpster out here. So we're going to put cones around it and things like that, so your family's protected. And we just let you know that to give you a heads up on that part. That's something you might do anyway. And I think if you're not doing it, you should say, why am I not doing that? That you should do that, because that's not only a good move for the safety of the community, it's a good move for the sales of your company, because you're now visiting other people and telling them, we're doing a remodeling in the backyard of this house. If you ever want to do something to your house, here's $1,500 certificate that you could apply to any project you want to do, right? So there could be three things at the same time, Martin. So you're right. Sometimes a good act reverberates throughout the whole organization, Martin. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Quick ad break to tell you a little bit about OpenPhone. If you're a contractor that has a single cell phone, you're probably inundated with text messages and phone calls, oftentimes that you can't be responsive to or that you can't answer at all. So what's the solution? You can buy another office line with Verizon or AT&T, and you can have an iPhone that is passed around from employee to employee, depending on who's on call. But what if there's a better way? What if there's a way that you can have all your phone calls recorded to go back and listen to later, transcribed with summaries so that you can get a quick glance at what happened during the phone call, and even connect it to your CRM where all your other customer information is? OpenPhone is the perfect solution because it does just that. You're able to add all the users you need to for whoever needs to have access to the lines for your company phone. And then you can also find all of the information you need at a glance with a centralized location for all phone calls and text messages with your customers. Whether it's for marketing, for sales, or for service, OpenPhone is the perfect solution for you and your team. If you're interested, we have an offer down the show notes from OpenPhone. Please click the link down the show notes, or you can see it here on your screen to be able to find more information about OpenPhone. Thanks for listening. Back to the episode.
Hey, Khalil, I kind of robbed us. I knocked you out of rhythm. So
no, you didn't. That was good. That was good.
I think it was a great comment there, Martin. I think it was a good little example. And I think that's it, Martin. There's so many different little drips that, opportunities we have to create more value and create differentiation. We just need, it's sitting right in front of us. It's something we already have. I'm not saying you have to buy more to do that. You already got it. You're already spending more on it. You just got to make sure you're emphasizing and communicating that value. Make sense?
We have a thing that we used a lot of times as part of our vocabulary, but we call it the USP, unique selling proposition, which yada, yada, yada. But anyway, our brand, how we're seen, we say you have to give people a reason other than price to buy from you. And I think that's restating what you said earlier. You give them a reason. Otherwise, if there isn't a reason, they default to price, and now it's the race to the bottom, which I think you said earlier.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll say something like, like I believe in creating premium, mid-range, and economy choices for every project. One's got better service and warranty. One's doing more than you asked me for. And the bottom option is just what you asked me for with very little warranty and coverage. And I let people know that, when they ask me, why are you more money than the competition? And I'll say, well, how many options did I give you? And they go, well, you gave me 6 options, 2 premium, 2 mid-range, 2 economy. I said, how many options did the other company give you? 1 option. Well, right there, I'm giving you more choices, and that took more time. That's why it's a higher investment, because we're giving you more in the premium option than you asked us for. If you want less than you ask us for, just choose choose the more economy project, and you're going to get that, right? So I don't ever worry about my price being high, because I always say, if I could have lowered the price, I would have lowered the price before I went to the customer. Makes sense? You should never even entertain lowering the price, because you've already done that. You've already worked out the price, and that's the biggest pain in the rear end. We all know for construction contracting that this is the biggest pain, to figure out the price of the project. This is the biggest thing we do for free that we don't get paid for necessarily until we get the job, right? But that's all got to be built into the price. You got to tell people, hey, the fact that I gave you 3 choices or 6 choices is the reason why, because we work on that. That took more time for me to do that. And I wanted to make sure you had those choices. That's just good customer service. And if they say, what's the difference between your company and the other company? I would say, here's what I tell people, write this down, everybody. I say, service is the knife that cuts through the fog of uncertainty. When you're not sure about what to do, choose somebody who's got better service. This way they're more accountable and they're going to be there for you, as opposed to the guy who doesn't give you their cell phone number, who doesn't have that certificate of insurance you mentioned, Martin, who doesn't explain how your family is going to benefit from this thing. And you can tell the customer, Joe, how many options did I give you? Joe, I made the options more personalized and customized for your family. I told you how your family is going to use this stuff. What did the other company do? Did they just tell you, did they email the bid, or did they present the project? No, they just emailed it. Well, if you want somebody who's going to email the worker out here, then hire that company. If you want somebody who has a real person out here like me, then you hire my company. So we're not going to email people out here. We're going to get the job done with real people. That's different, right? So a lot of times people use the modern stuff like emailing prices. There's no place in email in sales. You need to be able to look at the project, diagnose the people, diagnose the project, make a friendship, and give your friendship unconditionally to every person you meet. So if you're a construction contractor and you're going to go on some customer who's originally from India, you have to ask them. So, Martin, how did you wind up living? Are you from this area? No, I just grew up in India. Well, how does a person from India wind up in Oklahoma? How'd you wind up here? Well, I got a job at a place that's a medical facility. Really, that's so nice. Can I just say something? Your family is so lucky to have a guy like you, Martin, that brought the whole family from India just here because you got an education at the University of Oklahoma, and then you wound up getting a job here. It's so what an American success story. It's so welcome to the country, by the way. So that's the kind of thing that if you did it, you'd be the only construction guy who actually said that to that Indian customer, right? And those people, the Indian people, are the ones that a lot of construction people like these people negotiate. Just the fact that you're calling them these people shows you're dehumanizing them. You're not calling them Martin. If you had to use his name, you wouldn't say he's negotiating. And by the way, he wouldn't negotiate if you were on a first name basis with Martin. Does that make sense? Because you're the only white guy who would be interested in where he came from. Does that make sense? There's nobody who even asked him this before. Not even at his school, not at his work. You're the only one who found out that he's from Jodhpur, India, and his father and mother still live there. And you're the only one who finds. So that's how you know you got a real friendship, which is that you're interested in people. You got to be a student of your client. And that's really the number one thing that does differentiate us, the relationship we create. And Martin, you've been doing this long enough to know that everything you ever got in life is through the relationships with other people, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Not because you bought some material somewhere that made your career. It's people and the relationships you have. We're on this podcast because somehow you and Khalil met together and created a relationship, right? And I don't know how it's done, but that's something that makes this thing work, is that relationship you both have. Make sense?
It's very true. Very true. Thankful for the relationship. So if let's close it out here, Joe. So 3 simple things. What are the 3 most important things our listeners can do to stop losing sales and to start converting more? What can we walk away with?
I even give you a bonus. I'll give you more than you asked me for. I'll give you 4.
Okay, 4.
One is go to a call and number 1 say, I'm going to give this customer before you even get to the house, I'm going to give this person my unconditional friendship. Even if they don't want it, they're going to get it from me anyway. Because a friend doesn't mean that you're always going to blow sunshine up people's rear end. A friend means you're going to shoot straight with people sometimes. Like a good friend, like if you're destroying your life and you're my friend Khalil, I'm going to tell you, Khalil, you need to, I can't have you in my life if you're going to be doing these things that are not productive. I can't have that in my life. So your good friend would shoot straight when you're in the red zone or you're doing something wrong in your life. A good friend's, they're going to celebrate and have fun too, but a good friend is going to make sure that they shoot straight with you. So honesty with your customer is part of being a friend. So giving friendship isn't just easy. It's something that I'm committing to make sure I dive into this family to understand that. Number 2, diagnose not just the thing people are asking you for, but look at the technical solution and go bigger to see what's the next thing they're going to need if I provide this project. What other services they're going to need, and don't like if you're going to do something like do drywall for somebody, don't just give a card of a painter to paint the walls. Say I'm going to go ahead and hire a painter. He's going to paint the walls, and you can even pick out your own color or whatever kind of a thing, right? So don't give the job to the customer to do. Yeah, then you can find a painter to paint the place or whatever. Or then you're going to have to prime the walls. It's like, dude, you need to prime the walls. So one of the options should be you do the painting and decorating. Like I tell plumbers, like yeah, we're going to repipe the house. Who's going to do the drywall? I tell them to find their own drywall guy. I said, that's crappy service. You should be finding a drywall guy because you're in the construction business. You should be finding a painter and a decorator to repaint as well and make sure the whole project, the premium option is we do the plumbing, we tear apart the drywall and have a company come in to do that for us. And then we go ahead and hire another company to do the drywall, and another company does painting and decorating. So the plumbing part of it is only part of the project. We do the rest of it for you. So look at the whole thing that's going to be needed and not just the part that you do, and give a business card about somebody else to do it. Hire that person yourself and manage that person for the customer, because that's called construction management. That's what you need to do. That's number 2. Number 3, always make premium, mid-range, and economy choices that are customized and relevant based on what you've learned about the family and all that part of it there, and make sure that it is speaking not just to the technical thing that was asked for, but also to the people who use it. And here's the final part. Number 4, and it's a bonus. The words, what should we do? That's the name of my book. It's just like, here's the prices, guys. The premium, mid-range, economy. The premium one, we do everything for you and go above and beyond. The bottom one is exactly what you asked me for. Take a look at all these choices. What should we do? And they're going to say, wow, you do know nobody's ever given me choices. And I say, I realize that. So what should we do? It's a lot of money. It is a high investment, but it's an investment in your family, John. So what should we do? Can I think about it? Take all the time you need. I'll stay right here. What should we do?
I'm not leaving.
So the words, what should we do? That's the name of the book. And I highly recommend everybody read that. Matter of fact, I would even give you a free copy of the book if you want it. Just go to book.servicemvp.com. You got that for free. It's going to pay for shipping for $9.95. That book is $26 on Amazon. We sold 23,000 books, and it's really the Bible for construction sales, because it shows you how to introduce everything I talked about here. Those 4 components. Be a student of your client. Be determined to do things the right way and to differentiate yourself. Because, Martin, you bring up some really good points, and Khalil, I think I'm really in the perfect place on this podcast to provide value for your listeners. And I hope I've inspired them and given them a little bit of a gift, golden nuggets they can use.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, those are great tips. I love that. Unconditional friendship and having the different choices is a really big deal. And then just, what should we do? Yeah, what should we do? And
here's the price. What should we do? Right? Just like,
yeah, it reminds me of
project forward. Just close it. Just don't leave until you get the job. There's 3 things. If you give people prices, always get a yes a no, another appointment. Those are three things. Either it's going to be yes. I always tell people, you're welcome. Do you like what I've presented here? Yeah, it's amazing. Well, if you like it, then we pick one. We can pick one right now if you'd like to. So what should we do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got to close the deal right
I
there.
need more time on it. Well, you know what? Take your time. How much time do you need? I need a day on it. Okay, so let's make an appointment. Today is Thursday. Let's make an appointment Monday, and then you can tell me the final answer. How about that? That would be an appointment you'd make. So either get a yes, no, get a yes. I always tell people, if you want to tell me no to the project, you can always tell me no if you want to, and I'll still be your friend. I always tell people. So, if you want to tell me no, just feel comfortable to tell me no, because I'll still be your friend if you tell me no. Don't worry about it. Now, if you want to tell me yes, we can get the project started. If you want to tell me you're not sure, we can then schedule it for Monday to get the final answer. How's that sound? So that's really what I would try to do at the end of the whole thing. That could be the biggest golden nugget, right? Get a resolution to the project. Don't just let it hang out there and wait for follow-up phone calls. Because follow-up phone calls, let me give you a hint. After 48 years of doing this, follow-up phone calls don't work. They just simply don't work at all. Does that make sense here? Only thing that works is
that's great.
Booking the next appointment is the thing that works better. Make sense?
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, we'll link to your website, servicemvp.com, free book for our listeners, it sounds like, at book.servicemvp.com. That'll all be in the show notes.
Go there and you get the free book. And by the way, if you give me a call, I'll even send you a signed copy of it. Just give us a call there when you get to the website. I'll send you a signed copy myself. And definitely, usually tell I'm passionate about this business.
Yeah.
And I was when I listened to your podcast, I'm like, this is exactly the kind of place I should be. And Martin and Khalil, thanks so much for the effort you guys do. I know this is not easy for you to take your time and apply it here. And I really appreciate the value you give to contractors. It's so amazing. Thank you so much for letting me be part of it.
I appreciate those.
Thanks for making it easy on us. Thank you. Yeah, very nice. All right. Well, thanks, Joe. You made it to the end of the episode, but before you go, if you found yourself thinking about growing your construction business while listening today, I want to share something with you. It's called our 24 Things to Hiring and Training the Perfect Executive Assistant for Your Construction Business. And it's a free guide that we've created. It's not theory. It's what we actually use to help contractors hire the perfect executive assistant. And really, we help you find ways to delegate over 50% of your current workload and get back 20 hours of your time every single week. You didn't start your construction business to just be doing admin work, to be buried in paperwork and endless admin tasks. This is the guide that shows you exactly how to find and train someone who can actually take all that weight off of your shoulders. So this is a real actionable, great PDF that has templates and processes. It's really, really great. And I want you to check it out, even just to get your feedback and how we can make it even more valuable. But I know that you're gonna love it. The link is in the show notes. Please download it. We'd love to see how much of an impact it makes on you and your business. Thanks for listening to the full episode. Check out the guide. It's free. No reason to hesitate. No reason to wait. Download it now. And before you go, I just want to ask for your gracious subscription to our podcast. So if you have 2 seconds, it means the world to us. Just subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or if you'd like our weekly newsletter delivered to your inbox whenever we release an episode, please subscribe in the show notes. Every week, we're talking about real strategies on how you can grow and build a profitable construction business that runs without you, so you can have less stress, more time, and more money. Click subscribe wherever you listen to the show, and thank you again for checking out the Cashflow Contractor. See you on the next episode.